Greetings, lords and ladies. It has been a while since I did one of these channel updates, though the reason is usually that I've been away for a while, and sure enough, it's the same story this time. I'll put some timestamps into a pinned comment down below so you can skip to the parts you find most relevant to your interest. So let's get started. Firstly, I wanted to let you guys know what's been going on. Why have I been away? I've been away for almost 2 months at this point, with the last video coming out, I believe, in mid-July, not counting the one that I released last week. At first, it was just meant to be a 2-week holiday to my family, but we stayed somewhat longer due to some family matters. Now, it was pretty hot during our stay there, but the weather got even hotter the following days as a very, very bad heat wave, well, bad relatively speaking for Slovenia, that is, hit the country, which I'm sure pretty much everyone in Europe definitely felt. However, that heat was unfortunately not the worst, but it was actually a precursor to something even worse. It was a precursor to the worst storms that the country had seen in at least 40 years. Like 70 to 80% of the country was essentially underwater, some parts with the entire ground floors being completely engulfed by the floods. Now, I have family and friends all over the country, and many of them were unfortunately also affected by this disaster. And while the clearing of weather would usually be seen as a blessing in that situation, in this case, the situation just kept getting more and more worrisome. As with the clear weather, the heat wave decided that it's time for round two. Temperatures once again hit 40 degrees Celsius and over, and sure enough, yet another weather front started making its way towards our homes. The weather front once again brought storms, and yet again, for the second time in a single month, basically broke the record for the amount of rainfall in a very short amount of time. It wasn't just the rainfall, of course. Wild winds essentially took down, or rather took up, uprooted, that's the word, uprooted roofs, flipped cars, all of the, bad stuff. Needless to say, I was constantly in contact with my family and friends, and quite honestly, the reason I didn't record for as long as I did was because even when I did have some free time, which I would usually use for recording, I just couldn't get myself to even remotely be in the mood for my hobbies, YouTube, of course, included in those. I hope you guys understand, and also, before I forget, I read the responses to the community posts when I was updating you guys on what's going on, and I wanted to say thank you. Thank you very much for the well wishes for all those affected, and also for your understanding of my absence. Secondly, as I mentioned in the last Viking Conquest episode, which if you haven't seen yet, there's a new episode that came out last week. I'll be starting a few polls, one after the other, as we did last time, to decide on what the new series on the channel should be. Based on the poll I put out on the community page prior to my holiday, the majority of you voted that we should do a different game entirely. So I'll once again go through my list of games whose publishers will allow Let's Plays, that is, and put those into a few polls for you guys to decide what you'd like me to try next. Some games would be blind because, yes, discounts happen, and I end up buying games that it takes me forever to actually try out afterwards. The top games from each poll will be put into a final poll, the winner of which will get a series started on the channel. Now, the reason I say that only the games that, of course, publishers allow Let's Plays of is because I recall the last round, I actually put the what they called Middle-earth, Shadow of Mordor, and Shadow of War on that list as well, and I believe it actually won its round of the polls. But unfortunately, the Warner Bros. contact, I suppose, basically the contact person that serves for PR and whatnot, didn't bother getting back to me after multiple emails. So just to stay on the safe side, I will not be putting up games where I do not have express permission to actually do Let's Plays of. Express permission not given in the game's actual video policy in the terms and services, because a lot of publishers actually do have terms of services where they specifically allow community content. So unfortunately, Warner Bros. Is not one of those. Right, now you might be wondering what will happen to the currently running series, the Dragon Age series, as well as the Viking Conquest one. The Dragon Age series is definitely continuing, and while I mentioned previously in a Viking Conquest episode that I may end the series due to us finishing the storyline, and the game now basically simulating a Realm Divide mode from Shogun 2, aka it's us against everyone, I actually decided to keep the series going, though more as a side series, just honestly to see if I can salvage the situation, as the situation does present me with a challenge I hadn't had to face before. Kind of like a disaster campaign save of sort, if you will. What's more, I actually received a key for a newly released game called Crimson Tactics: The Rise of the White Banner, which I requested due to the game bringing back nostalgia for games such as Final Fantasy Tactics Advance from way, way back in the day, and I'm definitely very much looking forward to playing that as well. And since I'm going to be doing that, might as well record it and post it for you guys as well. Of course, having requested the key, it's only correct that I also provide some content on it. With all of that said, I will strive to once again release 3 videos a week, but will of course keep you posted if anything happens to change that, and of course keep an eye on the community page and Discord channel if you're not yet a member. There is one. It hasn't really been as active. Again, I've been away, but hopefully that changes as well. But yeah, look at those two for any sort of updates coming in. And I just noticed my microphone has been shaking. I hope everything's fine with the recording. And like that, we're at the end of yet another channel update. Once again, guys, thank you everyone for your kind words on the community page and for your understanding. I'm back, and hopefully you continue to enjoy the content on the channel. As always, see you on the battlefields.